Okay, got it. Sonic Picnic. Toki Tori 2 plus... What? What the fuck? Whoa! Look at it. It's so much more vibrant. They always come towards me when I'm singing. Why do they come to me when I'm singing? Okay, so as you can tell, I am playing a new game, and so this is how I'm going to explore this game. I have drawn a correlation between how a game studio, a game design company, designs a game to market towards this new demographic of gamers, of the, you know, the retro style gamers, people that, you know, the gamers that existed back in the 1980s when games were still coming out, when games were still new. Gaming population was much less then, right? But now it's gotten huge, and so they become like a demographic. People want to target those people now. So they do it in a certain way. And I've been understanding that there's been different ways of doing it, like visually, retro graphics and whatnot, but I'm trying to explore a way of doing it from a design point of view, how to design a game. And so there's like two ways of designing things, inductive or deductive, and so I'm trying to figure out the ways of that. I'm also trying to draw a correlation between this marketing strategy and the way that a teacher could somehow design a class so that it was more inductively or constructively fit for the students, so that they learned through inductive thinking. And so this is my attempt to understand one level, because then it might help me understand the other. So obviously the first thing that they're going to do, they're not going to give you a menu. There's no tutorial. That's how you can that's how you can ensure something's a bit more difficult. Don't give a tutorial. So if I don't see a tutorial throughout this whole game, and somehow it's just communicating to me what I'm supposed to do with very little minimal effort via the environment, then that's one way. And so the more better you can do that, the more you're engaging that thing. So that's one thing. Well, they're doing a great job at this because I have no clue what to do. I have no idea what to do. I don't know. It's a puzzle game. But what am I supposed to do? Okay, so I solved it by basically just smashing buttons. I figured out that X is something that gives me a move. Okay. So basically, that was kind of a cheap way. They basically were able to tell me, I learned that it was X that I needed to get through that little stompy thing, and there was no way of, they didn't really communicate to me, they just let me figure it out. But there was no intuitive way of them telling me that I need to get through that. I mean, that guy's jumping there, so that's their way of communicating, hey, jump. But I didn't know that the jump button was X. That was never told to me. So I had a button mash my way until I realized that I could use X. Because, you know, games get really complicated. There's tons of buttons you gotta use. So you just never know which one's which, right? That keyboard, everything. That's gotta be a really interesting thing you gotta deal with, too. But anyways, yeah. They didn't tell me it was X. I just button mashed on my keyboard until I found out it was X. And here they are telling me that the difference is between that whistle, which is space, and that. So they're different things and they do different things. So obviously whistling brings animals to you. Okay. That was a good way of telling me through the environment. Not a single explicit thing. And I didn't have to button mash too much there because I already understood the space was whistle. I just didn't know the function of it. So I already figured it out without knowing the functions. That was pretty smooth. But then I had to, so the difference, I guess, the reason why that was more smooth because I already discovered the whistle, while the X I didn't discover. So if I had discovered the X, then I would have gotten past that first one really easily. But since I discovered this whistle first, the puzzle that involved using the whistle was easier than the one that didn't involve it because I hadn't just discovered it yet. So me discovering it first definitely causes a disconnect to happen there. If the person can discover it before attempting to use it to solve a puzzle, that puzzle is much easier than using the puzzle to help them discover what they're supposed to push on the keyboard. That's a disconnect. Whoa! That was just the beginning. Those are some hard puzzles. I think this is like an entire episode. Man, I don't think I can play this game. This seems like that was pretty complicated. What, the story? When did the story get up? Okay, just press X there. What? Oh, that's kind of stupid. I have to like start all over? Damn. So they do have the start over repeat thing. Just like they did in Loom and all that. Okay, so they're tapping into that thing in Loom where you start over. You know, you learn by dying. Lots of games that tapped into that. You learn by dying, like they just didn't tell you. So learning by dying is one thing. Learning by dying is one thing that taps into the retro game market. Okay, learning by dying. Okay, here's another interesting thing that I have discovered. Be by the environment. I've discovered that okay, right here, this is a timing problem. Okay. That's kind of old school, right? Like I have to wait for this frog to be looking. See, I've learned from a mistake. I would go like this. And he wouldn't hit it because once I go like that again, he blows it out. I need that bubble, right? And then if I hit it again, it blows it out. But see, I'm in the wrong direction. See, I need to be going to the right. So I learned this from mistake too. I have to get it so that the frog is not facing this way, but the other way, so that he blows me up in the right direction. So it's a timing thing. I gotta get it so he's coming back, and this purple thing is on the right. It's a timing thing, and that's simple old school gaming too. Timing. So timing is another thing they use to tap into that old school market. Yeah, interesting. The music changed a little bit, but it wasn't like an instant transition. First of all, there's no levels, and then look right here. It just told me that I can't stomp in there, and that I also can't hit the ground. I can't stay underwater for a long time. So then I have some limitations with what I can do in water. So these limitations is something that allowed them to add something to the puzzle process. Now I have to figure out ways of stomping or whatnot. This is just another experience puzzle. Taps in by just playing around and seeing what's up. Okay, so it's pretty easy. I just had to walk over here, tweet to get the guy to turn around, and then jump. Okay. So here's another thing. I'm kind of stuck here. Are they tapping any old school things? Oh, no. So it is a level. Oh. And why did they not just make it all like a Loom thing, you know? Where it's just like one long, or not Limbo, a Limbo game where it's just one big long adventure. Why they cut it into levels like this? Usually leveling is when you want to introduce new mechanics in a serial fashion, right? That's a new level. So what do I mean by this? I wonder why they broke it up like this. Kind of seems counterintuitive, but then it's still hacking in the old school thing, which is like Mario, you know. But then Mario didn't evolve permanently. Well, I feel like this chick's gonna be evolving permanently. Mario, you always started the same in every level, and then you get your power-ups, unless you had a power-up from past. Oh, jeez. It wasn't permanently. Okay, this is confusing. It's like they didn't tell me the purpose of these little things that are like there was one at the beginning of the first level I did. Now there's another one at the beginning of this level. Still hasn't told me what these things mean yet. There's been no communication. Is that on purpose? Who knows? When I unlocked this one, it brought me back to the map of that entire map thing where it showed all the levels. But then I couldn't do anything. I had to go back to this. Or I did accidentally, I don't know. This is adorable. Look, and I'm looking off into the distance and I see my friend. I know I want to get to him. This is a really cute way of communicating to me. It's like a little story. It's like I'm trying to get to my friend. Oh, that's adorable. Now they're communicating a story. But there were no stories back in old school days. Stories thing was what came later. You know, story-driven games were not that popular back in the day. That's a new thing. Yep. Pong. There was no story to Pong. You know, no story to Pong. So it doesn't. Because if it can't go as old school to Pong, then it's not what I'm looking for. Interesting. They just introduced something new to this. So I get him down there first, and then I discover if I bash him, then it'll fall off. I didn't know that before. Interesting. They're introducing something that I was curious about previous, which is when you sing songs. They just told me what I should do. They still explicitly told me what to do. Oh, I love it. It's like they want to try to be old school, but they still can't do it. They still have to hold on to them. Maybe you should copy him. Did you notice there are long and short noises? Did you notice? Oh my god. Maybe tap it 4 times. Now they just taught me a rewind thing, so I'm basically, that was the thing to get me out of basically a reset that I have to do if I get stuck somewhere. So interesting. So it told me how to get unstuck. So there's still that puzzle element, you know. It doesn't have the full smooth going, like Limbo was pretty much doesn't tell you anything. This thing is still being a little less Limbo-ish, so it's different from Limbo. Sure. Does this thing have something that Limbo doesn't, but still hits the old school crowd, you know? Doesn't have any retro graphics. Is it just the puzzle element of it? No, it wasn't the puzzle element of it either. I gotta play that one again. I don't know though. Okay, I finally figured it out. There's 2 types of notes, like click, click, and there's a holding one down. So, click, tap it, hold it. 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 That's interesting. Never seen that before. So, that is not getting towards the old school crowd though, because that's a new type of thing. That's like a new thing. That's like innovation. We cannot include that in this research because that's innovation. That's building upon old things, improving new things. I'm just trying to figure out what they're doing to tap into the old school crowd. And old school crowds were not interested in something like that. What made Pong so interesting? This is proving much more difficult than I was hoping. So has gaming's been evolving then too. So I've really criticized this game for introducing a new mechanic, but new mechanics are what makes games fun. And that's what made Mario more popular than its predecessors. It had a new mechanic, jumping, running. That was fun. There was nothing of the sort at the time. This game introduced a new mechanic to me via the keyboard, where if you tap the space bar and then hold it, you get 2 different responses. I've never seen that before in a game before. It's like they're marrying 2 modern mechanics of beating of rhythm games. So I guess what I need to be exploring for research purposes is what characteristics of this game, and games that purport to do this, directly share with like games like Pong. How far back do these things actually go? If they're not in Pong, then when's the first game that introduced something like this? Oh, that's adorable. We have like a guy that's scared shitless in the dark. That's a new mechanic right there. Oh, he's so scared in the dark. I like that. So this one definitely needs some more, so a different type of tinkering. Something scared in the dark is definitely a mechanic that wasn't in Pong. So new mechanics are out of there. Clearly gathering these 3 birds above my head and ensuring they don't get beyond this diamond I'm doing has nothing to do with the puzzle. Whoa, they're like doing story shit right now. So I got all the pieces. Now I'm supposed to open this door. So what I have communicated to me is lots of new mechanics actually. So new mechanics, constant new mechanics, constant. So I guess new mechanics is another way of saying innovation. Okay. So I guess what I really want to know is, if Pong is the very first game, what did it have about it that was so engaging, that attracted people? Why were people attracted to Pong? Why was a certain demographic of people attracted to Pong?